Hey guys, Maxman RC coming at ya, and now we are back with what I'm sure you guys remember, the little hurricane. Now this guy, if you guys remember, the car runs fine, it just doesn't want to turn. So we narrowed it down to a bad servo. I ordered a new servo. Unfortunately, it wasn't the right size, but thankfully, I went through my stuff and I did have a 5-wire servo from a previous build. So this is exactly what we're going to go ahead and use. Now, before we start putting things together and dealing with this kind of stuff, what we're going to do is, we're going to go on ahead and we're going to plug in the servo, just like so. And we're going to plug in the battery, because I want to make sure that this servo actually works. So we're going to plug the battery in here. And now, golden rule, we're going to turn on the remote first. And now we turn on the car. There you are. Now we get to see whether or not the servo works. The servo works as it should, no problem at all whatsoever. So hopefully this servo will be good enough for what we need. We're gonna go on ahead and we're gonna take the remote and we're gonna set the trim to the center. That way, when we set the servo on, we won't have to worry about it being centered. Now we're gonna shut everything off here. Now we're just going to put everything together. Alright, so we're going to get started by putting the servo mount on here. Just like that. And the servo going back down to its rightful place, just like so. Good. Now before we actually tighten the servo, we're going to put on the servo saver. We're going to attach the horn, because this way it'll be much easier So we're gonna go like this. So yeah, it'll be much easier to actually attach everything before we actually attach the actual servo. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna take this back out right at the center. I'm gonna put the bolt back in. I'm gonna grab our driver. I'm just gonna tighten it up. Okay, so now we're gonna plug in our battery once more. We're gonna make sure everything still works as it should. Oh yeah, perfect. So now that we got that in place, let's straighten out the wheels. I'm gonna put the horn back on. There it is. Now we have a turning car. It was that simple. All that it needed was the servo. Now all that's left from here on out would be to just put everything together, which should take a few minutes. So let's go on ahead and take care of that. Let's shut this thing off. Unplug the battery, turn off the radio. Now, first things first, it looks like the servo is sitting under properly. We're gonna grab the 2 bottom screws. Just gonna tighten it. Now, the one question I've been asked a few times is, why don't I get, and I think I've answered it a few times, why don't I get power tools, like small screwdrivers? truth of the matter is, I do have one, but honestly, I feel that using hand tools is better due to the fact of how fragile these guys can be. This way, we don't risk stripping any bolts out or anything like that. Alright, now that the servo is back under properly, let's do one more test before we cover everything up. Okay, radio's on, car is on. That went straight to the center, and look at that. It works as it should now. Great. I like that. I like it when things work out. Now we're going to unplug everything once more. Now that I'm happy with everything, just going to put everything back together. Okay, and we are done with the little Hurricane. It wasn't that bad. It took maybe all of 15-20 minutes to put everything back together, clean up the wires a little bit. But now we have another working RC. The servo was replaced, so we're in good shape. Unfortunately, the battery did die out on me, so we're going to charge that, and once it's fully charged, we're going to take this thing on a fun little bash, just like we did with the Grom and like we did with the 16 scale. Was it a 16 scale? Yeah, I think it is a 16 scale, the Cosmo run. But for the time being, that's it. We're done with this repair. Nothing else to say except have a good night.